All right. Hey, everybody. It's good to see you guys. We've lost Fiona and we just got started. Tanya, what are we going to do?
Uh-oh. Where'd she go? I don't know.
Welcome. It is so good to have everybody here. It's huge. And this is, I hope, what you come to appreciate about your participation in this is part of all of us remembering that justice is a way of life. And the rituals and what we consume and how we are together. It's revolutionary, it's hopeful, it's connection, and we are so grateful. I am sitting here in Thistle Farms. My name is Becca Stevens. I am the founder and president. We opened about 23 years ago. But about 8 years ago, we decided to open a cafe. And we wanted to serve healing products right here at our headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee, to welcome people from all over to come in who crave, taste justice, to drink something healing and whole, and knowing it has to be healing along the whole market chain from the producer to the consumer. And so when we decided we were going to focus on tea, which made sense, oldest beverage in the world that's been cultivated, it's universal. There's one tea plant in the whole world that it has a history of both violence and hope. It's been there for every war and every peace treaty. So we wanted to make tea a centerpiece. And so when we did that, I thought I have to call Fiona. Fiona Prine, she can introduce herself. I won't go, but she is an amazing woman. She hails from Ireland and loves tea like nobody I know and is a beautiful host. And I said, teach me how to host a tea party. So Fiona, take it from here.
Yes, I am Fiona. Thanks, Becca. This is so exciting. Welcome, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be here, and I'm trying to imagine all of your faces out there with your teacups ready. Yeah, Becca called me to say that tea would be one of the focus of this new cafe for Thistle Farms, and tea is in my blood. It's something we do every day in Ireland, regardless of what other beverage you drink. There's always tea. Every home has the kettle on, so that tea is ready should a neighbor come by or let's just have a cup of tea. So I've grown to really appreciate that tradition more and more as I've gotten older. So Becca called me and I of course said yes. And it was really such an honor to have everyone here, actually at this table, I believe, Becca and the guests that she'd invited, and I got to serve them tea. And it just, it was one of the things that filled me up, being with my community and serving tea. So thank you for asking, Becca.
I can't wait to do this tea party with you. And then last year, I was so honored to get to be a part of a beautiful international group of people who are in the hospitality business, celebrating women and justice and hospitality. And I got to meet Tanya, and I was in love immediately. And she's one of the kind of people that you think, oh, please pick me to be your friend, please. And so I went up to her afterwards as a new fan and said, well, someday will you drink a cup of tea with me? And this is the fulfillment of her promise. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you, Becca. Well, the feeling was mutual because after I saw you and heard you share such beautiful words while barefoot on the stage, so inspiring how down to earth you were and your passion for the work that you do with the women at Thistle Farms and how you unify and how important community is to you, just as it is to me. I felt like we were pretty much soul sisters.
Yay.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you, thank you. And so when we start thinking about celebrating the victories and the struggles of women survivors, women suffragans, women who are continuing the fight for equality and justice in this world, it made sense to me to celebrate that with tea, to do that, because tea has been linked. When we opened this cafe and we started learning about how tea is so inextricably linked with the human trafficking of women, it's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. There were plantations long after slavery ended in colonies all over the world. And the statistics, if you read them, is, you know, in the 1920s, when women were fighting for the right to vote, continuing that struggle to the Voters' Rights Act, there were plantations and women, no rights, in the fields, in dire poverty. And I think it's that the first year women were on these plantations, something like 50% mortality rate. And that doesn't include all the violence and degradation. And there has been a movement, you know, for people to stand up for women who have allowed tea to be in this world as the main pickers of tea in the world. Women are. So, you know, we helped start a couple tea companies. We've been working with women and we have learned so much. So today we want to walk you through what we're doing as our simple ritual. It's 4 steps for everybody. We hope you carry this with you and share it with friends and remind everybody justice is a way of life. It is what we consume. It is what we do with our days. So what are y'all drinking? What tea are y'all using?
I'll go.
From Kenya.
Go ahead, Fiona. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Joseph Mugisha brought me tea from Kenya. So I hadn't actually opened it until today, so I'm excited to try it.
Let's see it.
A black tea.
Is it loose leaf?
Yes, it's in my pot.
Awesome.
It's in the bottom.
Perfect. So you're a loose leafer.
I do like loose leaf tea. Yeah, it takes a little longer.
Yeah.
Gets a better flavor too. I think.
Tanya, what are you drinking with us today?
Me, I was gifted this tea from Stonehouse Tea Company in Cleveland, Ohio, where my dad went to high school. And it's funny, but a colleague from Les Dames d'Escoffier sent it to me as a thank you gift, and it's super fruit goji berry. And it's loose. And I like to mix up my teas. I actually have a tea box I forgot to show you the other day. I couldn't wait to get a tea box. So just like, I don't know, I just like, I like containers that hold things. But this doesn't fit in the tea box, but anyways, I like it. And it's very fruity and has green tea leave. So it's good for me. Good for you.
Yes, antioxidant for sure. Tea
That's
is
right.
healing and beautiful. So I'm using a couple teas. I've blended this pure moringa from a group of women in Mexico. And this is my product placement segment of our tea party. There it is. And then I also have Tima tea, all from Rwanda. Fiona and I have been to Rwanda together. This is a justice tea. So I've blended them together.
Ooh.
And I'm going to be using a tea bag. So my first question for everybody, we're going to do a quick poll. Loose leaf or tea bag today? What are we working with? That's what we need to know. So hang on 1 second. We're going to get this poll going.
Wow, there's a lot of response.
Yes, I'm curious to see.
I'm like Fiona, I prefer loose leaf if I can.
You do?
Yeah,
I think it's higher brows. That makes sense. That's why I have to do just like tea bags.
Especially with my black tea with Earl Grey, I love the loose leaves.
Yes.
So fragrant. I feel like the fragrance expands more.
Definitely. I think the metaphors attached to the process are really meaningful too. You know, the tea starts in the bottom, it rises to the top, and then it sinks again slowly when it's ready. I just love that idea of that ebb and flow.
I just think, let's see, so we're at about 60-30, so twice as many people are using tea bags as loose leaf. So just so you know, that's who we're working with here at this on this tea party.
I'm so impressed there's a third that's using their loose leaf.
We're going to end it now. We have a whole bunch of people right here. So there you have it.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, the tea bags are certainly more convenient, so I get that.
Yeah. The next thing I was thinking about too is that, you know, as we do this and as we are thinking about tea being both healing, and part of it is that tea can't help but be ritualized. It can't help itself. I mean, if you know anybody that drinks tea, whatever they do is a ritual. Right. It says, come do this in the same way and stir it and how long you steep it. It's just a ritual. So we want to do a tea ceremony today that's 4 steps. And the very first step is offering thanks. I want to give thanks first for when we think about just what we're drinking from. So we've named the tea and imagine the beautiful women who are pickers, the women who produce it, the men and women who bring it to us. There's only one tea place in the whole United States of America in South Carolina. That's the only tea farm there is. So it's a global event. But the next thing is to give thanks for our cups and our vessels. So if everybody just takes a moment to appreciate the containers. And maybe Tanya and Fiona first, can you tell us a little bit about your teacup you've chosen and why?
Yes, my mother gave me some teacups that belonged to her mother, and this is one of them. It's always on the saucer, and I've even got a little cookie here on the side ready to go. But, I keep these in a special place in my house. I have a huge collection of these. I think Becky, you've seen them, but they're special.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
You ready for me?
Yeah.
Oh. Now I wish I had gone and grabbed some things. I have put away a tea set that was given to me on a visit to Kazakhstan. It's so lovely though, I don't want to use it. So I actually have like the biggest cup I could find, which I love. I love the weight of this cup, and it's just something I got in Nap it. And I'm embarrassed. It has all my lipstick prints on it because I actually put on the lipstick for this Zoom, and it says "My Happy Place."
Oh, I like that. You know, I drink my tea out of a large mug every morning. I mean, it's my first beverage. Yeah.
Mine is a very sweet, simple cup, and I chose
That's
it.
Gorgeous, though.
My son gave it to me when I opened this cafe.
Oh, I love.
Comes with
That's
the pot.
beautiful.
Caney, you know Caney. Caney gave it to me.
You mean my Caney?
Son, you're Caney. That spends more time with you than me.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the reason I love it is I hope that our next generation is drinking tea and starting to appreciate all the beauty of it. So thank you for that. And one of the things I really want to talk about is that tea parties are one of the few events where really being a host is a place of honor. To pour the cup, and I mean, to pour the water, to let the tea steep, to serve it to others is a place of honor. And you both are consummate hosts, and you have linked justice to your hosting all through your careers and lives. And I honor you both so much for that and think it's beautiful. But can you talk just for a minute about what it means to be a host and to have an eye for justice and to be in this work of hospitality?
Sure. Well, I'll go first. Yeah, the hospitality part of my work is really what inspires me, more so than cooking. I grew up in a household with parents who always entertained and always provided hospitality for, you know, back then people would often just drop by. You don't really get that so much anymore, but they were always welcoming, and they, you know, had a dinner party club, and it became part of me, part of my DNA essentially. And I love hosting people and making them feel comfortable, make everybody feel comfortable. So it was really my mission when I was developing in my career to create a space where everybody felt welcome, because I had worked in restaurants where there was division of, you know, race and gender based on what job you did, or if you were in the dining room versus working in the kitchen, a customer, and you didn't see a lot of interaction and diversity. And so that's really been the thing for me, that I think this hospitality career has given me the opportunity to make sure that everybody feels welcome and included.
I love that.
Thank you.
For me, I was thinking about this yesterday. I've been in the music business for many, many years now. As an introvert, I think that who likes to socialize, I know it's a little bit of a contradiction, but I do like to be around people. And I think I just came up with the idea of always having a purposeful gathering. There's a reason, or there's a focus. And maybe it's one of the reasons Becca thought to invite me to do the tea party for the new cafe, when it was new, the cafe, because I do like the idea of gathering, not necessarily like-minded people, but a group of people that are there for a common purpose. And of course there'll be food, and there'll be drinks, or there'll be tea, whatever is appropriate for the occasion. And I like the idea of small, intimate groups, you know, even up to as far as 20 people maybe, but where everybody feels comfortable because they're invited and they know why they're invited and they're welcome to be there.
Thank you. Just want to share one quick story to both of y'all about what it means. So after we opened the cafe and we met some of the women in Mexico who were, they were all homeless, all survivors of violence, and the violence and vulnerability of poverty really in their lives, especially for women. And they decided to band together they had moringa, and they had a group that was willing to support them, and they started this moringa company, which is great. It's so good blended with black tea, a little bit of lemongrass. It's awesome. You don't need anything else in it. So we went down there, and this is what moringa looks like. And I have this in a thistle cup to remind us always of when we're doing this, we're sharing it with women who are still on the streets and women trying to find their way home. This moringa is like, y'all both know probably more than me, but it's basically a superfood that will heal everything, and you'll never have a wrinkle if you use it. I'm 114 years old. And it's all moringa. It's unbelievable. It's really, really unbelievable. But we go down there, and the women are picking the moringa, and we're sitting around, and we decide to stop and have a cup of tea. And we ordered lunch. And we sat there and we had lunch, and the 5 women who were the members of the company led by Gisela, who is amazing, they all went around and talked about what this company meant for them and how they wanted to grow it and what their goal was. And Maria was the last woman that spoke.
Yes. Maria.
And she said her goal was, what she really wanted was to someday have another tea and lunch together. That was her first time to ever be invited to sit down and have a cup of tea and eat together with other women. So I think that reminds us how special it is to get a chance to drink a cup of tea with, 700 people. And to remember that it is a privilege and an honor to do this. And anytime we can pour a cup of tea for a friend, it's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Step 2 on our journey, after we really offer thanks, is to always enlarge our circle. And so, I'm a priest, so I've got a lot of priesty stuff in me. Not too much, I hope, but enough to remember that we are always in the presence of love and those who loved us and are with us. And there are people that we long to drink a cup of tea with. And part of this Justice Tea Party is to always invite, like you're saying, Tanya, exactly. Welcome more people, bring everybody into the circle. Mm-hmm. So what we'd like to do now is take a few minutes. It's going to take a little bit, but definitely feel free to put it on the chat. We're reading all the chats from folks. But for all of us to remember one person we would love to share this next cup of tea with. It could be somebody that's sick that needs a healing cup of tea. It could be somebody that taught you how to love tea. It could be a hero woman that you want to hold up today. But somebody you would love to share this cup of tea with. And within a few minutes, we can double the presence of this in spirit and in love. Who are y'all thinking about? Ooh, Michelle Obama, Harriet Tubman.
That'll be a good one.
Oh my gosh. Fiona, why don't you talk a little? Well, maybe we should read these for a second.
Maya Angelou. Oh,
a lot of moms. A lot of people are saying my mom. Yeah.
I'd like to have had one last cup of tea with John. He loved how I made tea because I make it very specifically with little milk, with some honey, chocolate biscuits, and he loved. Like a big mug, like your mug, Tanya. So I would, I'm going to invoke him, and I feel he's close by right now.
I'm sure.
He was such. He loved celebrations and fine things.
Yes, he did.
He loved you, and I just think that's beautiful.
And he loved Thistle Farmers.
Thank you.
What about you, Tanya?
I would love to have a cup of tea with my mom. It's been 5 years since she passed, and we would have a lot of catching up to do. A lot has happened in my life in the past 5 years, and she had a great mug collection, actually. She loved collecting mugs. She was more of a coffee drinker, but we always had tea around the house as well. So I think that would be nice. I feel like she's still not too far away as well.
What's her name?
Her name is Ruth Annette.
I love that.
Mostly she went by Annette. Okay. Yeah.
I'm with you. I would pick my mama for sure. You know, she died. I loved it when you said that, you know, I just want to catch her up. Like, she needs to know what's happening. But my mom died the same week I opened Thistle Farms, 1997. So years and years ago. I think I was early 30s when she died. And, you know, she would have loved it. It would, everything about this journey I've been on, she would have loved it more than anybody and celebrated it. And I still want to catch her up, and I miss her. And so this is for Ann Stevens, who was widowed with 5 children at the age of 35 and raised us on almost nothing. She was the kind of person that used a Lipton tea bag twice.
Heresy.
That makes any sense. Huh?
That's like heresy.
I know, but I mean, if you don't have any money, you can use a Lipton tea bag as many times as you need to.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and it was just like, I just remember her, she would wrap it around a spoon, leave it on beside the sink, and she would get mad if anybody touched it, because her whole thing was to use that again as many times as she could. So here's to John and our mamas, and to everybody who are up here being called up beautifully. Oh, I use tea bags twice too. Uses tea bags twice. Yoo-hoo! But
somebody said they wanted to have tea with Breonna Taylor, and I think that's a wonderful sentiment.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this whole journey of this year of the whole country, you know, finally hearing I can't breathe and saying it from behind a mask and feeling like maybe for a minute, tea lets us breathe. And in the midst of this struggle and pandemic and protests, we are fortifying ourselves to keep going out there and calling out Breonna's name and all those who have died of violence and have suffered under just horrific, horrific situations. My mom is 98 next week. So much, there's so many people, so many people. This is amazing. So we have remembered, and we have enlarged the circle, and we are all feeling the love. So of course, the third step now is going to be to steep your tea, pour your tea. So for me, I have to steep it in my pot. I have my moringa and my black tea from Rwanda blended, putting it in the tea bag in the pot.
I think I got ahead of the game. Sorry.
Oh, you can sip it this time.
I did wrong. Hey, so what happens, Tanya? Do you know what happens while we have to steep tea?
I don't know, but I
You have to release the
Tannins?
flavors.
And how long do y'all steep tea? Green tea's different than black tea, right?
Well, it depends on how strong you want it. I mean, but you don't let it sit for too long because it'll get bitter.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let this steep for maybe
5 minutes, says Alice to everybody. She's like, y'all are idiots. It's 5 minutes.
Well, I've just made a little.
Beth Nielsen Chapman, it releases all the good stuff. Heather says,
yeah.
I like my tea strong. Crystal, go for it, girls. 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, somebody's out there. I think they're putting whiskey in it. That's awesome. So I do think it depends on if it's an herbal, if it's green or black or white, all of that. But as we, if you're with more than one person, you can pour it for each other. If not, I'm going to pour my tea.
I like a little honey in mine. I've got a little honey stick.
I know I love my black tea sweetened with cream, or I love Earl Grey with a little honey and half and half.
Yeah.
But with my herbal teas, nothing. They don't need it.
I'm the same. Just, yeah, I like mine. my black tea with milk and honey. Oh, this looks good. It probably wasn't steeped long enough, but that's okay.
That's cool. So is that a disposable stick? Is the honey coming out of it, or?
Yeah, it'll melt. Well, you know, you're not supposed to use your teeth, but I do.
You can take the girl out of Ireland.
There we go.
So while we're waiting for these teas to steep, Tanya, can you just tell us a little bit just about the wildfires? Just tell us how y'all are and how you're doing, or how is it affecting your restaurant, Brown Sugar?
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, it's so hard because we're already on lockdown and not supposed to be, you know, doing a lot, but at least we've been able to be outside and space out. But now you can't even go outside. I'm looking outside right now, and it's really hazy. It looks like just a big haze. And usually this time of year, you know, the sky would be blue. And I was in Napa, the town of Napa, on Sunday, and there was definitely, you know, ash clouds. I couldn't see the fires. I've been touching base with a lot of my colleagues who are closer, and some people are evacuating their homes. It's just so sad because it affects so many people, you know, and yeah, it's really challenging for people who already have respiratory issues, you know, asthma or anything.
And the fear, knowing that there's a fire that could travel miles, right, in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's hard for them to contain it. And, you know, 3 years ago, I was doing a fundraiser for the fires of that year, 2017 or 2016, you know, and it's just, you think like, okay, they figured it out now, right? It's not going to happen anymore, but it's Mother Nature, it's global warming, and it's pretty frightful.
I've been thinking about too the people that had signed up in, you know, southern Texas that are bracing for Laura, the hurricane, thinking fires and pandemics.
They've all had to evacuate, I think, from different parts of it.
Yeah, so there's a lot to think about while we are steeping. That's what happens when you steep a cup of tea, is we get to take a moment to remember, to breathe, to think, to be. And I think sometimes justice work is really about being, just being yourself and being grounded. It's not about pivoting all the time or whiplash about what we have to look at, but just about being. And, you know, I hear a lot of talk these days about the justice work of radical joy, of saying that is one of the most important things that we can do, is remember our joy in the midst of this work.
Yeah.
So love and joy and peace and all of that happens as the tannins are released, as y'all were talking about. So the next thing, of course, our fourth part of this journey, cup by cup, is how tea celebrations bring hope and justice into the present while we honor the heroes of the past. This is a Tea Roots movement. You want to do something, share a bunch of cup of teas and go through this with anybody you can think of. This ritual, I hope, is supports you in your work. I hope it fortifies you. But we want to raise our cups today specifically in celebration of women heroes, to the suffragans and their enduring gift to us all, to all women who dare to conjure up dreams of freedom, and to all those beautiful friends who long to share their dream and make it a movement, to the countless women in the struggle who have more courage than fear, to sisters who trust women's work is grounded in gathering, so that silence and shame can be transformed into powerful voices. We get to speak our truth. To the mother line of love, that is the most powerful force for change this world knows. I drink to you all.
Right back at you.
Okay, I'm going to drink about 10 cups of this. Hey, Fiona, can you help us out here? Do a little history lesson for us while we're sipping.
Anything in particular?
I was thinking about the suffragette movement.
Oh, okay. I learned a lot about this when I was a child growing up in Ireland. We would have been familiar with the English story because, you know, Mrs. Pankhurst and all of those women, and they really were trailblazers back in the late 1800s. They would chain themselves to the railings at Parliament, leave their house under cover of night, back in a time where you would normally or have to ask your husband for permission to leave. Women were fired from their jobs, kicked out of their homes. So they really, I'm so aware of the trials, the work that women have done in the past so that I get the right to vote. And I was looking at some information about Tennessee in particular, which I thought was kind of interesting. So the 19th Amendment was ratified here on the 18th of August. I know that's a week ago, but we were waiting for the tea to steep. So when the vote came to the floor in Tennessee at our House of Representatives, it was a tied vote. But a young man, I'm looking for his name.
Was it Terry Bell or something like that? Bell?
Harry Byrne.
Byrne. I was so close.
His mother advised him that he really needed to vote to ratify this. So he, like a good son, I know Becca and I both have sons, like a good son, he went and he broke that tie and the amendment passed. So I thought that made me happy to read that today.
Then it took another 50 years for the Civil Rights,
Yes.
Voting Rights Act to
Yes.
kick in so that everybody could, all the women could vote.
Right.
But, you know, I don't know, Tanya, where you are on your work in your platform on voting rights, but I know, Fiona, I've watched your feed some, and you kind of landed on voting rights as one of the things that you're really focusing on right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I look at voting as a right and a responsibility. And when I think about justice work, what I'm always struck by is how little it can take to make a huge difference in not just in one person's life, but in a whole situation. I'm thinking back to that tea party that we had. And I'd like to think that some of the women that were present when I just made that pot of tea and I shared it, that some of those women went on to become supporters or donors to the cafe. It really takes very little. So when we think about voting, the idea that you can go and exercise your vote, it's your voice. Refugee women, for instance, do not have a voice. So I just feel so fortunate to come from a legacy from women who fought and marched and died for my right to vote. I believe in it passionately.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think to your point about it takes very little to really make a difference. For me, you know, being a restaurant owner in this community has given me a platform to really use my voice to make a difference with political leaders and to do advocacy work that I wasn't even, you know, I never thought of myself as an activist or, you know, that's not why I went into the restaurant business, but because I do take it as a responsibility now because it's like I have the platform, I have the voice, people will listen. So I'm going to speak up for those who don't have that voice yet. And I just feel like that's, you know, that's my duty. And as much as I can encourage, especially the younger generation who, you know, rightfully so is a little bit disheartened, but they have to vote like we all have to.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
And maybe we can think of it as, maybe everybody can think of it, or just, if we can, tea is fortifying us to give us the energy to go vote. Because it's going to be a big hassle. No matter how we do it, it's going to be a hassle.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that. So maybe you bring a beautiful cup of tea with you. Maybe as you're doing your mail-in early, you do it.
Mm-hmm. Is it in the Bible, Becca? Where does...
Oh, Lord, I'm going to fail this quiz.
Okay, so faith without works is dead. Is that what is that saying?
Okay, yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you. So I put justice in there.
Book of James. See, people are going to know this. Book of James.
Okay, I think about justice being something that, you know, you can sit around and talk and drinking tea, and all of this is really important. But as you said, if we look at drinking tea or our fellowship together to give us energy to then take an action, I think action is really important.
Look, I'm getting all these cards where people are bringing stuff in. So today is Women's Equality Day. Did y'all know that?
No.
Somebody just made.
I thought International Dog Day.
Mm-hmm. It's probably all of that. It's probably both.
Okay.
Let's just say it's both, but that's really fun. And somebody wanted to make sure that we raise our tea to send gentleness to Mother Nature for people in the paths of fires and hurricanes. Mm-hmm. Another person wrote in, if all the women in the U.S. who were eligible to vote did, they would control every election.
Think about
that. What's up with that? So there's a lot to think about. Mm-hmm. But yeah. I wanted to ask you guys, and this is one of the things that I think is one of the real takeaways, is we just want to talk for a little bit and be able to finish our tea together, is how do you integrate justice as a way of life in your work? Like, how does it look for y'all? I know tea is part of it, but I know that there's much more. So how is this justice as a way of being, as a way of life? How does that look in your daily life, Tanya?
Just the choices I make in hiring, the choices I make in the vendors I purchase from. You know, how I, like, you know, all day long, I could be giving away all my profits to nonprofits that want me to support, but I am really particular on the nonprofits I choose to support, and mostly, you know, the ones that are supporting women and children in various ways, whether it's, I do a lot of work with, you know, the food banks and feeding people, but also not only working with you in Thistle Farms, but there's a local organization called Elizabeth House that does something similar. Yeah. They help women transition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've supported them for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years as well, because I know the extra weight of challenges that women have, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of like all day, every day. And I think we're all in the same way, just by being aware of, you know, our world. We are always doing our work. But like you said, I also make a lot of time to find the joy, because if you don't, then, you know, we're doing it all in vain. We have to still find the joy, even when there's tough moments.
Yeah, so important. Yeah, I think for me, it begins with empathy. I mean, I saw that displayed in my parents growing up. I'm the oldest of 6 girls. Wow. My father was I didn't know that word, but I knew that he identified with people and that he was grateful for what he had in his life. And that meant something to me. So I know the Thistle Farms community is really important to me. And even at times when I traveled and I couldn't be there, and now with COVID, it's even makes everything more difficult. It was important that I establish empathy with the women there. And I think Becca and I did the same thing. I think we developed empathy very early on. We both lost our fathers as young girls. So we shared those things. And I think that for me is what drives my wanting to help. And then the other part of it is knowing that there are women in this world who do not have a voice. Nobody will hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. And maybe they stop talking. And I think if I stop talking, and if I stop sharing, and if I stop growing my empathy, then therein lies despair. So for me, doing this work brings me joy. and feeds hope.
Yes. That's so beautiful. Y'all are amazing. I love y'all. That's what tea does. It's like I fall in love easy. There's a couple things. One is there's a few women who are graduates of Thistle Farms that are drinking tea with us. I'm thinking in particular of Doris and Jennifer who have come in.
Hey, Jennifer.
And they want me to talk a little bit about how we've integrated some of the justice work into what we do. So not only is the tea a big part of our ritual, but of course,
The
we
candle.
light a candle every day for women who are on the streets and women trying to find their way home. And my big focus lately has, and Angela, one of the graduates, is on the call too. Hi, Angela. And I call Zoom. I just don't even like to say the word. It's a 4-letter word to me. But my focus for the last few years, and Fiona is part of this, and Tanya, I hope you become more and more integrated and a part of this too, is the idea of shared trade, a fair share for women. It's called shared trade, a fair share for women. And the justice work in this is very simply that instead of a market deciding what is fair that leaves so many women still in poverty that are producers, is you raise the value of the producer in the market chain. Take out some of the links so that there is more of a direct relationship and women are getting a share of the retail value, not just whatever the market deems is right. So we've helped start, I think, I don't know, 5 or 6 organizations, and it's always small groups of women doing really, really amazing things.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, they say that's how the world changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Women get together drinking tea and they decide we're going to be revolutionaries. And so, you know, I think of the women in Chile under Pinochet when their children were disappearing. Mm-hmm. And they started quilting those squares and sending them out into the world, sometimes with pieces of their children's clothing, to get together and spread this message of justice and hope by being women together. And I think of all the men who have been a part of my life and the life of Thistle Farms that have been a part of that. Mm-hmm. It's not men apart, it's men joining in this idea of beautiful freedom and equality. And I'm also thinking today about the women in Ecuador that sew all the healing kits for us and eye pillows. And they do this lovely stitch work. And they came together and they have just changed their whole community. Because, you know, I believe in my whole heart, when you rape women, you kill villages. But when you heal women, you heal villages. Yeah. So for us at Thistle Farms, part of the way, you know, like I've said it a million times, if everybody who said they loved us bought their soap from us, it would be a different ballgame. But people say they love us, then buy their soap over at Target. Buy your soap from us, you know, buy your tea, do what, not just us, but women's groups around the world, and just really saying we want shared trade. We want it to be raising everybody up and loving everybody. So now we're in the section of our tea is getting a little cold. People are weary. And we want to do some just closing thoughts. And I just want to hear whatever you want to say. This community of women are yours, and men, women and men on this call to share whatever the message you want them to be taking away on this beautiful day.
One of the thoughts that I had when I was listening to you speaking, Becca, was just that the simple phrase that we as women, I think, I mean, I can hear us saying, what if we ... And, you know, I have a lot of ideas, as you know, I can have a lot of ideas, but until I met you, honestly, I didn't think, I mean, I would go, what if we, nah, it's too difficult, it's too hard, I couldn't do it, how, all of the yeah buts. But you will say, what if we built a cafe? And we all go, okay, how are we going to do that? And so it's that intentionality, it's and that hope. And what could go wrong? I mean, you try something, right?
Right.
What could possibly go right? So I think it's important that as women, and I know we have imagination, I think it's important that we use imagination, especially in this free, fair trade arena, and look at look a little more carefully at what we're buying and who we're buying from. Not that we're all going to become fair trade retailers, purchasers overnight, but if we can even make a small dent and say, well, I'll only buy my candles from Thistle Farms, or whatever is appropriate for you in your life, I think we can make, I think it does two things. It helps move this movement forward, where we've recognized that fair wages, good work for women is really important for their communities. But I think it also then, we become connected. I'm now connected to the woman who's sitting there maybe thinking, well, maybe I will get my candle from Thistle Farms or my moringa tea from Thistle Farms. We are now together, we are Thistle Farmers. So that's, I think, what I would want to leave everybody with.
Yeah, I think, vote in the election, but also vote with your pocketbook, as Fiona's indicating. We have so many choices all day long to make. And, I try to be really intentional with where I'm spending my money with vendors. And I'm fortunate enough to live in a community that has so many women-owned businesses. And it's so inspiring. And, we can do anything we put our mind to. Mm-hmm. And, I'm lucky that I was raised by a strong man who let me know that I could do that too. My dad's on the call. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Tanya, Dad.
Wow, that's fun.
Oh, Becca, he's in Georgia. He's going to come see you both soon. Trust me. He's going to find you.
Get in his car. The kettle's on.
My son just got in school at SCAD in Georgia. This is the College of Art and Design, so we're going down to Georgia all the time.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm sorry, keep going.
No, it's all good. So I just, women, we can do anything when we put our minds to it. And when we unite, it's like, you're right. I mean, we can change everything. So I just think more of this.
Yeah.
Amen. And as a closing thought, we are going to be listening to you guys as we close this up. So go out there, support women-owned businesses like Tanya's Brown Sugar Kitchen. Go buy Oh Boy Records, Fiona's record company. Buy some stuff at Thistle Farms. Tanya, I'm sending you a whole package of Thistle Farms products to put in your sink. I can see what's behind you right now.
And a t-shirt. Send her a t-shirt.
Yes, Walden sent her a huge package, and I'm gonna send you one too, Fiona, for doing this, and it'll have tea in it, so you guys will feel like you have to drink one more cup someday with me.
All right. I hope.
But as we
meeting you in person sometime.
Yes, for sure.
You.
Remember, this is one of the takeaways for everybody. They want me to say this over and over. Justice is a way of life. Mm-hmm. To breathe that in and to know you are good, to know that sometimes when people tell you to pivot, you can just drink a cup of tea and go deeper. Mm-hmm. You don't have to always be spinning around. Sometimes we can just dig deep into our roots and know that we are enough.
Yeah, we are loved.
We are loved, and we are going to make it through this day. Mm-hmm. So we have a few minutes, and what we're going to do, all of us, to leave you is we are just going to listen. We want to hear your takeaways. We're watching the chat room, and we hope everybody stays on for a few minutes just to read the chat. So as you depart on your own, but leave us with a thought. All love.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you all for being here.
So great.
I can just feel the connection, even though I can't see everybody,
Everybody's saying love heals, yay.
Energy.
I keep hearing what the takes away. Oh gosh, just hearts and loves. This is a big old love fest is what it is.
Will we get to read all of these later? Can we get the print out? We can get a print out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. A vote, 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 vote. I'm so thankful. Mm-hmm. Peace and love, love, love. We are women.
Wow.
Oh, you guys are amazing. Just ordered online. Oh my gosh. Whoever that is, that went by fast.
Wow.
Put a sticker in that box.
Love shooting.
Anybody that orders tonight, we'll put stickers in the box, right? We'll put you some Thistle Farmers stickers in that box.
Yes, Patty Freeman.
Oh,
Franny. Franny. Oh, grateful to all of you. I'm blogging about this. Oh.
Absolutely. Take a picture and post it
Yeah.
of all of us squinting into our screens.
Yeah, I had to put the glasses on, dirty
I got
glasses.
it. Let me see.
Elizabeth
We'll have to
Scher,
do this again, though.
Mary Baker.
Say that again, Tanya.
I said we have to do this again, though.
We do.
Yeah.
We do have to do this again. We will.
Maybe
We will.
after the election. Crystal.
That's right.
Maybe we should get some women from all over the world to join us on the panel next
Oh
time.
yeah, that would be fun.
Some of our tea pickers in Rwanda on the screen
Yeah.
with us.
My dad just sent a text saying, "I love Becca and Fiona."
What's his name?
Laura P.
Hollis Holland.
Give him a number.
Hi, Howard.
I will. He'll come see you.
She's cheeky. She's very cheeky. Penny.
Step
Siobhan Kennedy, Darcy Goldberg.
Oh,
Deborah.
step 4 is the toast.
And
Somebody's
he'll
asking
bring
about step 4.
He'll bring his wife Bessie and my sister's in Chattanooga. So pretty soon we'll all get together when we can.
Okay, there's a question. Step 1 is offering thanks. Step 2 is remembering and enlarging the circle. Step 3 is pouring the water. Step 4 is your toast. You remember our toast? Maybe we can send out our toast to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a beautiful, it's almost like a little prayer.
Yeah.
What you said, yeah, that would be nice.
You'll receive the steps in email. Look, I wish y'all could see what's happening to me. Y'all are in your peaceful places, and this is what is happening. I'm going, a lot of peace, what? Okay.
Thank you to Val, and who else is there? Who should we thank? Val and Lisa and Lucia and Lisa, who did all of this zooming for us.
Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Kristen. I always have to thank Kristen. She always gets it together.
She keeps
Al
great.
through here a couple times. Love. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.